Hello, I'm Jennifer Bement, the Media Relations Manager for Southeastern Guide Dogs. I'm here on our campus today with Michael Jernigan, who is not only one of our outreach coordinators, but he is also a retired corporal from the United States Marine Corps. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about why you ended up going into service for your country and why that's so important.
For me, it was actually kind of a roundabout journey. I graduated from high school and I went off to a junior college. I didn't go off to a junior college. I went to my local junior college and kind of had a lot of rough bumps in the road. I wound up spending 4.5 years at a junior college, 2-year school. And it was kind of towards the end of that I started to realize that maybe academia wasn't for me, and I was looking for something greater in life, something more fulfilling. My grandfather was a Marine, my dad was a Marine, my dad was in the Army, my other grandfather was in the Air Force. So I looked to military service. I said, this is something I can wrap my head around. It was post 9/11, on my 24th birthday, my father was the officer that swore me into the United States Marine Corps.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your story and what happened in Iraq. Well,
I am actually very good at finding bombs. I was hit by 3 roadside bombs in Iraq in 6 months. Through the Marine Corps, I took to it like a duck takes to water. When I was in Okinawa, Japan, I had an opportunity to change units when I came back to the States, and I rapidly deployed to Iraq just a couple of months later. Over there, long story short, on August 22nd of 2004, we hit a roadside bomb. I was in the machine gun turret of the Humvee when it happened, and amongst other things, I had 45% of my cranium crushed in, my entire forehead, where my hand is, an acrylic plate. I'm the first U.S. service member to lose both eyes in a global war on terror, and I had other damage to my hand and my knee and to my psyche and the whole 9 yards. But coming home, I did 30 major surgeries in 12 months. I flatlined during 3 of them. I spent 16 months in hospitals and rehab facilities, and coming out of that was difficult. Coming home, dealing with what I had to deal with, not only medically, but then dealing with the emotional stress and the anxiety of finally being home was something that was at times overwhelming.
So what kind of help did you get while you were going through that process?
In the beginning, it was a gentleman by the name of Johnny Walker, who turns out wasn't very helpful. At first I was in denial of post-traumatic stress. I got out of the Marine Corps in December of 2005, and I came back to St. Petersburg, my hometown, and I wound up, for the first 6 or 7 months when I was home, sleeping with a loaded rifle and a bottle of scotch on the nightstand, and I self-medicated pretty heavily, and it wasn't till a couple of years later that I finally realized that, this is not a normal life. And I went to the VA. I said to myself, okay, I need assistance. Where do I go? The first place I went was the VA. I started talking to one of the patient advocates at the VA, who was a friend of mine, and I said, what do I need to do? And he took me down and got me into the stress treatment program for outpatient counseling in Washington, D.C.
Awesome. So then now you've come to Southeastern Guide Dogs. How did that come about? How did you end up with such a gorgeous guide dog by your side?
Interestingly enough, one of our board members at Southeastern Guide Dogs is a man by the name of Bobby Newman. And Bobby's in the cigar business, and I am an avid cigar smoker. One of the days after I'd gotten back, after my local cigar club had learned that I was wounded, the J.C. Newman sales rep came into their store and they said, hey, we know your boss is into guide dogs, and one of our members just went blind. Can you pass that word along? Bobby Newman wound up calling my mom in November, just a couple months after I was wounded, and just letting her know, we've got this guide dog school in Palmetto, and we want to help your son if and when he's ready. And that single phone call has grown into not only a lifelong friendship with Bobby, but the whole program at Southeastern, a job at Southeastern, and a great impact on the lives of veterans.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what you do as outreach coordinator. I know you do a lot of public speaking, and you reach out to a lot of veterans. Tell me what an impact you're making out there in the world.
Well, I think the first place to start with is Paws for Patriots, a program that Bobby and I started at Southeastern Guide Dogs back in 2006. We originally started this program to assist blind and visually impaired veterans coming out of Afghanistan and Iraq. We noticed there were a lot more people that needed assistance, so we opened up the program to veterans that might have been either blinded in combat or not, might have not even served in combat, but are dealing with visual impairment from age-related illnesses, things like that. From there, we started with facility therapy dogs in military hospitals. It grew to veteran service dogs to assist veterans with post-traumatic stress. And over the years, we've helped directly over 100 veterans, and through our facility therapy dogs, literally the lives of thousands of veterans have been impacted. That program has helped me interact with a lot more veterans on a more personal level. And I think for me personally, and I've told Bobby this on numerous occasions, getting involved with Southeastern Guide Dogs and starting the Paws for Patriots program and helping get that moving gave me something to work towards, gave me something to be proud of, and gave me access to other veterans, which helped me in the long run. It helped give me a purpose in life. It helped me refocus and, in essence, assist other veterans. And I think that when Paws for Patriots candidates come in to the program for the first time, or they're applying for the first time, and when they can meet me, they realize, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. If this guy can do it, then I can do it too.
Gotcha. So we were just part of the Legacy of Valor campaign through the Patterson Foundation.
Yes, we were.
Which raised a lot of money for our Paws for Patriots program. Tell me a little bit about the cost that goes into providing a guide dog to someone, and what kind of funding we get, and how we pay for the things that we do.
I'll tell you, it's a complete process. We're not taking rescue dogs or shelter dogs or anything like that. We've been around for 32 years, and it starts in our genetics and reproduction department. We do all of our own breeding. From there, we raise these dogs. Volunteer families take these dogs into their homes and raise them to a certain age, and then they come back and go through their assessment process, and they go into harness training, and then they go get placed with a student, go into student training. That entire process, with the lifelong commitment that we have towards our Southeastern graduates, is a $60,000 commitment on our end. With that, we're looking at constantly fundraising, things like that, but we're really trying to make that difference in a person's life.
Right. So if you've helped one veteran, it's all been worth it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. And luckily we've helped more than one. Luckily we've helped more than one. I was just up at Walter Reed visiting our program dogs just about 3 weeks ago, and in the physical therapy area, I saw guys working with these dogs, playing fetch with a dog. A young man was learning how to balance on prosthetic legs by playing fetch with a dog. And
he was having fun doing it.
Oh, smile on his face, the whole 9 yards.
Not the grueling physical therapy that they're going through, which I'm sure you dealt with.
I dealt with a lot. I used to call my physical therapist was a gentleman by the name of Hospitalman First Class Warfield. And I used to call it Warfield's House of Pain, right? And I dreaded going to physical therapy, and a lot of these guys now have something that I didn't have at the time, back in 2004, 2005.
Yeah, it's incredible the amount of impact. Tell me a little bit about other stories of veterans that have come here because they've seen you go through the process. Have you made friendships that way, or
I do a lot of public
mentored.
Events, right? I do a lot of public events with Southeastern Guide Dogs and with other like veterans organizations. I'm affiliated with the Marine Corps League, things like that. And I've met through the years, going to VA hospitals, just in my constant life, veterans that have been blinded or visually impaired, especially younger veterans that don't know what to do, don't know where to go, don't know the assistance that they need, just know that they need assistance. And I've been able to impact some of those guys, talk to them. Hey, give me your phone number, let me give you a call every once in a while and just check and see how you're doing. One young man in Tampa called me one day and he said, Mike, I'm traveling a lot to the different hospitals and everything, and I'm having one problem. I wear a lot of suits and uniforms, and I can't figure out how to travel with my dress shirts without them getting wrinkled. And I said, well, you know what? I have actually had this exact same problem. And I recommended a style of suitcase that I use that's like a hard-sided folding bag and things like that. And it's that type of just camaraderie and interaction that has allowed veterans to open up and see, like, through the experiences of others, what they're capable of. And I think that's what's so cool about it. Some veterans that I've talked with have realized that they see me and Brittany together, and they hear what we've done and experience what we've done, and they say, I want that for myself, and wind up either coming to Southeastern or looking for assistance other places.
So tell me a little bit about the program Paws for Patriots. I understand that you started it with Bobby Newman.
Yep.
But I know there are 3 different types of dogs. Tell me about those 3 different types of dogs and what they do.
First and foremost, it started with guide dogs, right? Brittany, my gorgeous guide dog here, I've had for almost 7 years. Guide dogs essentially take a person from point A to point B safely, right? That's their core function. I think in all reality, there's so much more than that. You know, we try to assist with the independence and the freedom and things like that, but these dogs become companions, and they become little buddies, almost like a child. They help with confidence levels, you know. Brittany, the greatest thing that's come out of my relationship with Brittany, not necessarily has been the guide dog part, but just the confidence that she gives me to get out and interact in the world and go back to college and go into the workforce and just leave the house every day. I see no light whatsoever. When I open my door, I walk into a sea of darkness, and Brittany's there with me to constantly let me know, you're safe, I got you. That's our guide dog program. You know, our facility therapy dogs. I shared one story about a young man that was working on balance issues on prosthetic limbs. You know, they also go from room to room. We have a story about one of our facility therapy dogs at Andrews Air Force Base. His name's Joe. He's an awesome puppy.
He's an incredible dog.
Yes, he is. Very
Joe.
friendly. One of the reasons he couldn't become a guide dog is because he was a little too friendly. But Joe works in the mental hygiene clinic there at Andrews Air Force Base, and just kind of walks around and concentrates on some of the worst patients. There was a lady walking by Lieutenant Krause's office. She's the person that has Joe up there. And she saw Joe and just petted him for a minute. And it kind of started this conversation with Lieutenant Krause. And the lieutenant invited her in, and the girl wasn't even there for mental hygiene. She was actually passing through on her way to a different appointment. And the lieutenant said, come on in, you can play with the dog. How are you doing? Just small chat. And the lady said, can I show you something? And she pulled a note out of her purse and handed it to her, and she said, I wrote this morning and I don't really know what to do with it. It was a suicide note.
Oh my goodness.
And that interaction with the dog helped that young lady, that young airman, open up to somebody. And the lieutenant took her down and got her help. You know, so the facility therapy dogs are doing so much for these veterans that might not even be combat wounded, or might not even be dealing with battle problems, so to speak. Our veteran service dogs are such a key component of the Paws for Patriots program. A lot of guys come back with no physical scars, but they're on the inside. There's mental wounds as well. Post-traumatic stress can be debilitating. We have dogs through our veteran service dog program that help mitigate these symptoms of post-traumatic stress and help these young men and women deal with just the anxieties of everyday life. You know, Brittany does a lot of that for me as well. When I start to get stressed and the world becomes overwhelming, Brittany knows that. She can just sense it coming off me, the different odors, chemicals my body releases at that time. She sits there and she'll hit me with that cold, wet nose on my hand and just kind of get close to me and just say, you know, everything's okay. You're not alone. We can do this together, and it helps me refocus and get back on track. And that's one of the big parts of our veteran service dog program. They have special commands to help those veterans deal with some of the symptoms of post-traumatic stress, and they do it all lovingly, and that camaraderie helps. You're not alone. You're not alone when you leave your home. You have somebody with you.
Yeah, I've seen firsthand the amazing things that our in service dogs do when they were here on some of the students were here on campus learning how to work with a service dog.
Yes.
I remember one telling me that he hadn't been out to dinner with his wife for 4 years because he didn't want to go into a busy restaurant. And now that he had that dog by his side, he could go out and enjoy the world.
I'm sure his wife was a lot happier too.
I'm sure she was.
You know.
So this Legacy of Valor campaign that the Patterson Foundation put on, as I said, we were lucky enough to be involved in it, and I'm thrilled with the impact that it's going to make. How do you feel about the generosity of the general public and what all they did with it for us?
It's amazing.
Through this campaign?
You know, with the assistance of the Patterson Foundation, we were able to reach new donors, but more on a greater line, we were able to reach greater awareness for new individuals that were looking at this and going through it and then doing research, their due diligence on their donations. And what the Patterson Foundation helped us do with this Legacy of Valor is not only financial support through donations, but truly reach out and try to help people understand what veterans are going through when they come home, either blind or visually impaired, or what veterans are dealing with in the hospital systems, or what veterans are dealing with post-traumatic stress as they return back to the civilian life. That essentially is a great aspect of what the Patterson Foundation was able to do with Legacy of Valor on our behalf.
Yes, I agree. It did get the word out that there's help out there for anyone who needs it.
Yes.
You just need to ask for it.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know where to go.
Exactly.
Also, with that awareness aspect that Patterson Foundation and Legacy of Valor helped out with, hopefully we touched the lives of some individuals, and hopefully we educated a few people that might have friends or family or themselves that need assistance, and now they know where to go.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Michael, for being with us this afternoon.
Oh, no problem.
To talk about this wonderful program that we have, Paws for Patriots. I'd like to thank METV for allowing us to share our story and coming out today. And Brittany, of course. How could I leave out the amazing Brittany, guide dog extraordinaire at Southeastern Guide Dogs.
I like to call her the essential Brittany.
She is your essential companion,
yes,
for sure. Again, thank you, and I hope you learned something. You can certainly tune in to guidedogs.org to learn more about our Paws for Patriots program or any of the other programs that we have here at Southeastern Guide Dogs. Thank you and good night.